Hi, my name is Elisa, and I am completing the UK Spousal Settlement Visa. I am American, and my husband is English, and he is living there. I'm living here, and this video is in response to Pepper's video, which helped me tremendously throughout this process, so I figured I would share my experience with anyone else who's watching this. So the first thing, just like Pepper said, is filling out the application online. And once you complete the application online, you actually print it out, and it's quite a few pages. Now, you do need a lot of specific information that they ask for, as far as your work information as well as your spouse's work information. When I completed this document, my spouse and I were online together, and so he was able to help me through this, and it took a while because we reviewed absolutely everything, because once you submit it, you cannot go back and make adjustments. So that's very important for you to know. And once you pay for it, then when you print it, it actually prints out a page that you have to sign and date, and you include this in your document. So even though it goes in the internet and is sent right away, you still need to sign physically and date it. And you include this in your document book. Now, what also will print out after you fill out your application is your biometrics appointment confirmation. And this appointment is made immediately after the application. It's in the same process, and you choose the time and date and the location, and it will print off a scanner that you have to bring this to the biometrics appointment, as well as your passport. So that's very important that you need to bring this, and the passport, it says it in big capital letters. And so after you receive everything, you will get an email stating the documents that you will need. Now, the documents that you need, there could be some extra documents you might want to include in there, but I'll go into those in just a little bit. The specific documents that they ask for, and you will get this in your email after you complete the application. I do want to let you know that you have some time after you fill out your application to submit your documents and get your biometrics. But once you get your biometrics completed, you have 2 weeks to submit your documents. So once that's done, you should already have all your documents ready to go. That's very important. So the first document, it says a written invitation from your sponsor in the UK, and a copy of their British passport. So I've included that in my documents book. I went with Pepper's idea with a 3-ring binder. It's a lot of documents, as you can see. So this includes my documents, my spouse's documents, and a copy of all the documents, because you will see that you need official certified copies or originals, as well as a copy of everything you're including, unless you don't mind them keeping that document. So, and I'll go into which ones I didn't copy. So, a written invitation from your sponsor in the UK. I have the written one from him, and it has a wet signature on it, and so I made a copy of that and included it. It says, after you've attended your appointment for biometrics, you send your documents in. So you just include it. I have tabs set up. So as you see, I have my application tab, biometrics, my documents, Elisa, and my husband Dan's documents his tab is somewhere in there. So that's the first thing. The first two, the application you want to include with your signature on it, and then the biometrics information. They're going to give you your information, and you need to include that. It says the completed online form. Evidence of contact between you and your sponsor, for example, letters, email, telephones, telephone bills. Now, I didn't include any telephone bills because we speak mostly through Skype, Google Voice, and email, texting, Google Chat. I mean, we have endless amounts of communication, obviously, multiple times a day. And so what we included was it's a pretty big stack of email contacts from when we first met until the most recent one. We also included copies of our travel documents, our travel confirmations, anything like that. Evidence of funds available to you in form of detailed bank statements covering at least the last 3 months. Now, I read somewhere that it was last 6 months, but this official document list that was sent to me by the UK visa service was, they're only requiring 3 months. I included, with no copies, just statements printed off from the internet for the last 6 months. So I included my checking and my savings. And let's see here. So evidence of your sponsor's accommodation in the UK. Now, we will be living with somebody, so we just had that person write us a letter saying that we will be living with them and how many rooms the place has. This is also in the application, asking how many rooms it has, where would we be staying, and if there is a tenant agreement, then you need to include that. In our case, it's a private agreement, and so he just wrote a letter, and hopefully that should be fine. And I included a copy of that letter as well. Evidence of your sponsor's employment or intended employment. So this means it needs to be an example of their contract and offer of employment, salary, their pay slips. So my husband gave me the last 6 months of his pay slips. He gave me his a verification letter from work, and this is required for both of you. A letter stating when you started work, how much you make, and where you work, obviously. I just started my job about 4 months ago, so I ended up including payslips from my job before then. So with a total of 6 months of payslips and the copies, obviously. So they require a flight reservation itinerary showing your intended dates into and out of United Kingdom. I don't really understand why they need that, but I just printed off an itinerary from Travelocity. Just, these are my intended dates. They probably just want to know how much it would cost for me to go over there. It says if you are in the U.S., valid U.S. immigration status, originals not copies, permanent resident card, advance parole document, H-1B visa, F1 with just, I'm sure if you have a certain immigration status, you would know what documents to include. In this case, I am just a citizen of the United States, so I'm including a copy of my passport as well as my passport. My birth certificate, I was actually born abroad, so I needed to include some extra documentations, but you'll know your situation. It's the documents you typically will include if you're filling out a passport. So, it says a recent color photo. So I just went to my local pharmacy, got a picture taken, and it's just a little photo that you include in your application. Your current passport, of course. Your old passport. Now, I have passports from when I was born because I was born abroad, and so I needed to include each one, and I also needed to include a statement, and it says that in the application, of why I have different passports for dual nationality when I was at a young age. So I needed to include all of those as well as copies of it. And of course your original marriage certificate, certified copy, and then also a copy of it to be included in there. Now, that's all that this list says. But there are a lot of documents other than that you want as supporting documents that is related to that. So I included a letter as well explaining just how I think I would be a great citizen, and I have the funds available in my savings and my checking. Although I haven't had a job for 6 months, I still have worked for the past 2 years straight. So, and I do have evidence of that. Another thing I didn't mention is your taxes. It did mention that in some websites. I included a copy of my 1040, and my spouse included a copy of his, I believe, a P60 from the UK, and we included his bank statements as well, 6 months for his checking and savings. So that is in his section. In my section, extra supporting documents are my resume, and I have a letter from my spouse's employer just inviting me as an employee if I get my visa. So honestly, any documentation you can get like that would be great. My sister also wrote a letter for me. I'm also including a copy of my spouse's birth certificate as well as the original copy. Now, as far as supporting documents, I am including pictures. We have our pictures from our ceremony, our pictures from when we met, and then the emails, cards that we've sent together, and cards that we received for our wedding ceremony. So that's everything that I am including in this big 5-pound folder that I will be sending out to them. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And if you would like a personal message, then I could send that invite. Good luck, and I will keep you updated on how long it takes from when I do my biometrics to sending it in and exactly what I am doing. Thank you.